It was time to follow the path towards solitude in the north. Last week we were south of Stockholm, a place that feels quite familiar to me. But the north feels different, sort of wild and unknown. Here, the pine trees stand strong. They towered over me, making me feel so small. I wondered about the many animals that must live in there. I wondered what life would be like for them and how they managed to brave the long winters. I hadn't been to the north of Sweden since I was little, so to go on this road trip with my mom felt really exciting. We had a week full of adventures planned, but as soon as we made our way north, the weather changed, making the days cold and wet. My mom and I are on a little road trip this week up in the north of Sweden. My siblings both flew back to Canada this past week, which was really sad because I don't know when the next time I'm going to see them is. So our first stop on the road trip was Hammarstrand, which is about 7 hours north of Stockholm. We stayed with my mom's friend Åsa, who she knew from her childhood. She's lived up here in the north of Sweden her entire life, so it was really sweet of her. She took us around to all of the local spots, and it was just really cool to get that local feel and perspective of the place.
Being me, I may not be the loudest of voices. I look for the corners, I am the worries we frame. Every day I see people with ruining choices, with mine drying far from the storm and the ruining rain.
We wanted to come up north because I wanted to see a different part of Sweden, and I also wanted to discover a little bit of my roots. So across the lake here is actually where my morfar, or my grandpa, owned this cottage. My mom spent every summer of her childhood here, and I have some vivid memories of being in this house and canoeing on this lake. So it's cool to be here as an adult with a different perspective. It feels quite eye-opening. This town that we're in at the moment is called Shetland. It does have an eerie feel to it. My mom said that she's sort of always felt that way too about this place. I feel like that at the moment because it is just such a quiet place and the weather is not helping. My grandpa did have an interesting story from the house across the lake here. One night he was there by himself and he said that he heard shuffling noises coming up the stairs. He got out of bed and checked what was there and nothing was there, so he went back to sleep and then woke up a second time to hearing the noises coming up the stairs. So he went downstairs and checked the entire house, and he swore that it was someone or something, and he's not the type of person to just make that up. So I do sort of believe that there are some ghosts in this town. In saying that, the solitude out here is just something else. While I was chatting away, Mammoth found the bloobs, the wild blueberries. Were they just all over there?
Blueberries that grow in the north have more antioxidants because they have more sunlight during the growing season, more UV light. That makes sense. So it's good to eat berries from Sweden.
Hey, hey. Hey.
Hur är det att vara på semester med mamma då?
The way of life in this small village felt quite wholesome. Many areas outside of the cities here are small and isolated, so people live a life that is more connected to each other. I think this is a way of living that a lot of people long for these days. One close to nature with true connection to people and the wildlife. We booked an accommodation on some land just outside of Östersund. The lady who owned the property told us they were the second owners, and that the previous owners to her had this property in the family since the year 1200. Learning their story reminded me about the long history that lives out here. We're going for a little walk through the mountains today. It's a summer day and it is 12 degrees. So it's a bit chilly, but the air is so fresh. It feels amazing. These bushes are full of wild blueberries. Just drove up to the top of this mountain here. On the way up, there was reindeers just sitting here on the decks. So cool to see. I have not seen reindeer before. But it's really good.
When you're a child, you breathe a magical life of your own. In the blink of an eye, you wake up and find all the magic is gone. When you're a child, the clouds hold your wishes in soft loving arms. And the light of the day holds wondrous ways to treasures and charms. Is it possible to see that light again? To hold that wonder again, like I did as a child?
We didn't get to see the sun in Östersund, but the days certainly felt cozy. I have a new appreciation for the cool air after spending the last 7 years of my life in the Australian heat. After all these moody days, it was time to head south back to Stockholm. I didn't feel ready to leave yet, with so many mountains and forests left unexplored, but I was excited to spend more time with my mormor. We're back in Täby at my mormor's house. I can really feel that autumn's in the air now, but today's beautiful. The weather really affects my mood, and I feel like when the weather is a certain way in a place, it really shapes the way that that place feels for me. Because it was so rainy and grey, I loved the moody vibes and it was a really beautiful trip, but I can imagine just how beautiful the north would be on sunny days like today. It would just have a completely different feel for it. The sun came out the last day of our road trip. We stayed at a spot called Urbaden, and it's a spa and resort. My mom works in the skincare industry and she has been wanting to stay there for a long time. There was a pool overlooking the lake, so it felt really special there. Friday this week, I'm flying back to Australia. I'm feeling very many mixed emotions about it. I'm so excited to get back to my life there and to hit the road again, but it has just been so nice here to fully recoup. After so many years away from my family, it was so nice to spend time with them, but it's going to be really sad leaving here because I really don't think I'm going to be seeing my grandma again. This is going to be the last time I see her, which is a really hard thing to accept. For me, she is Sweden, and when I come to Sweden, we've stayed here my whole life. We've stayed with her, so it's just gonna have a very different feel to it. In grade 12, I actually spent a semester going to school here in Täby, and I lived with my mormor and morfar, which I'm so grateful that I did because I really got to know them, and I also only speak Swedish with them, so I really improved my Swedish in that time. Over the next few days, I'm just going to soak it all in, and then I'll be on my way back to Australia. So I guess I'll see you guys there, and I hope you enjoyed coming along my summer adventures in my home countries. Thank you for watching always. Åh, det är fint.
Så fint. Oj, vad fin jag blir. Mycket bra.
Good art, Mom. Good art.
It is art.
It's a work of art.